Come with me as we watch scary white women go psycho Karen on each other. A woman named Alice watches her best friend, Celine, leave her house before entering with a key. She closes the curtains and grabs a knife from the drawer. Celine picks up her and Alice's sons, Max and Theo, from school and returns home. As the kids go upstairs, Celine notices something off with her curtains. Upon opening them, Alice, her family, and friends surprise her with a happy birthday. Alice hands her a present from everyone, and Celine cries when she sees a beautiful pearl necklace. During the party, Alice frantically looks for Theo, worried that he's eaten some of Max's cookies since he's allergic to peanuts. Celine helps her find the boys, and soon they find the two in the bushes. Alice holds and kisses her son, and Celine comforts her, saying Theo knows not to eat them. Later at night, Max and Theo sleep in their beds as the adults continue to party. As Alice and Celine dance together, their husbands, Simon and Damien, discuss politics and work. Simon hints he wants another baby with Alice, making her shrug the topic off since it's a sensitive topic for Celine. Alice mentions she wants to go back to work, but Simon says it'll be too pressuring for her, wanting her to be a housewife instead. Can't really do that in today's economy. Alice's mood turns sour, and she excuses herself to the kitchen. Celine follows after to comfort her, supporting Alice in her decision, and offers to help with Theo. After the party, Alice and Simon get romantic, and Simon blurts out he wants to conceive another child. Alice stops and lights up a cigarette, and Simon thinks she's against it because of Celine. Alice denies it, and Simon asks her why she wants to work again when he's already making good money. Alice expresses her desire to work, and Simon suggests she write for the school paper. The next morning, Alice prepares Theo and Simon for the day. Celine approaches them and says that Max isn't feeling well, so he won't be able to attend school. Alice spends her day gardening and suddenly finds Max standing on the fence of the balcony to hang his birdhouse. Alice immediately panics, telling Max to get down. Max doesn't listen and insists he needs to place the birdhouse, leaving Alice to rush over to Celine's house and call out for her. Celine doesn't hear as she's vacuuming, but sees Alice rush inside. Alice doesn't see Max on the balcony, but finds a terrible sight below. Celine has a horrified look on her face and rushes outside. Celine cradles Max in her arms, bloody from Max's fatal injury. Alice and Simon visit Celine and Damien's house, and Damien answers the door. They comfort Damien, who tells them they can't see Celine at the moment since family is coming over. In the bedroom, Alice sees Damien trying to get a hold of Celine. Alice watches with tears in her eyes as Celine frantically cries on the ground. The atmosphere is tense during breakfast as Alice tries to explain to Theo what happened to Max. Alice can't bring herself to say, leaving the explanation up to Simon. Alice hides her face as she cries, but Theo has difficulty grasping the situation. Alice sees Simon off to work and then knocks on Celine's door. No one answers, so she returns to her house. She doesn't see Theo inside, but finds him talking with Celine in the garden. Alice calls out for him, and Theo hugs Celine before leaving. When Alice tries to talk to Celine, Celine looks at her with swollen eyes but doesn't respond. Alice harbors guilt and tells Simon she should have watched over Max. Simon assures her it isn't her fault, and they head to bed with Theo. The day of Max's funeral arrives, leaving everyone emotional. Alice and Simon bring Theo to see Max, but Theo sees his lost toy bunny and takes it from the coffin. His parents panic and reprimand Theo, who's crying and claiming the bunny as his. They quickly carry Theo out of the church, leaving Celine in distress. Simon yells at Theo, but Alice defends him, saying Celine knew it was Theo's toy, yet added it to the coffin. Damn, it's giving Karen. 1 month later, Celine arrives at the school, surprising the other mothers. She approaches them with a smile, but suddenly passes out. Alice stays with her until she wakes up and asks why Celine came. Celine confesses she hasn't been feeling well and doesn't remember much after the incident. Alice comforts her and returns to the school recital. Alice's family visits Celine and Damien, but Damien isn't feeling well. Celine returns Theo's toy bunny and apologizes, giving him Max's toys. Theo asks Celine a sensitive question, wondering if she'll have another baby. Celine simply explains that she was only able to have one baby, and Alice refrains Theo from asking more. Theo doesn't know how to read the room, and Alice finds Max's room untouched, and Damien corners her to the door. Damien hugs Alice before shutting her out of the room. The friends smoke together outside, and Celine assumes Damien blames her. Do y'all think Damien and Alice are doing the nasty? Alice comforts her and confesses she learned to separate grief from guilt when her parents passed away. Celine looks at her, annoyed that she's comparing something that she had no control over with Celine's guilt over Max's death. The next day, Theo arrives home from school and Celine invites him over. As Alice tends to her garden, she finds Theo blowing bubbles on the balcony. She frantically yells at Theo to get off, and Celine assures her they're only playing with Max's toys. Celine notices that Alice got through the bushes in fear for her son and quickly sends Theo back home. Alice rants to Simon that she feels like Celine is setting her up, noting that she willingly got through the bushes for Theo but not for Max. Celine watches in sadness as Theo celebrates his birthday. Granny Jean comforts Celine but tells her to cope with her son's death differently since she's affecting Alice's family. Jean says that her actions aren't appropriate for Theo's birthday since it's supposed to be happy, leaving Celine to feel bitter and excuse herself. Celine helps Alice with chores, but Alice gives her the cold shoulder. Celine asks if she did something wrong, and Alice confronts her about putting Theo on the balcony. Celine looks at her in disbelief that her best friend would think she was capable of such a thing. Celine tells her she likes spending time with Theo to heal the both of them and tells Alice that Theo is lonely. Celine starts crying, and Alice regrets what she's done. Alice apologizes and asks for Celine's forgiveness. As Alice washes the dishes, she sees Jean staggering, holding a teacup. Alice rushes outside to find her unconscious in the garden. Celine quickly arrives to help, and Alice looks at her skeptically. Alice handles Jean's passing and asks the doctor how she passed away from a heart attack when her pills were working. The doctor agrees about the pills and is also surprised about the heart attack. Alice looks at the teacup the doctor is drinking from and requests an autopsy. Alice arrives home and comforts Theo about Jean's passing. Celine comforts her as well, but Alice is suspicious of her. In the garden, Alice takes Jean's pill box and hides it in the nightstand drawer. Alice returns to the doctor, who reveals that Jean hasn't been taking her medicine. Alice argues that she and Simon have watched her take them, but the doctor insists that whatever Jean was taking wasn't her heart medication. Alice rushes home to search the nightstands, but doesn't find the pill box. At Celine's house, Alice prevents Theo from eating the snacks that contain peanuts. Celine encourages him to search the kitchen for more food, but he finds Max's peanut butter cookies and eats them. The adults hear choking in the distance, and Alice rushes him to the hospital. As Alice and Simon wait for Theo, Celine and Damien arrive. Alice immediately goes after her, claiming Celine wants to kill her son. The husbands separate them, and Alice reveals her suspicions about Celine. Alice says that Celine is behind Jean's passing, informing him about what the doctor told her, and claims that Celine swapped Jean's heart medicine with a placebo. Alice backs her claim by explaining that Damien has a job in pharmaceuticals, so Celine has access. She reveals she hid Jean's pill box to have it tested, but it ended up gone. Alice believes that Celine wants them to pay for what happened to Max, but Simon drags her out of the hospital and into the car. This escalated quickly. Simon grabs the pill box from the glove compartment, saying he found it where Jean dropped it. He tells her that she's losing touch with reality while their son is in the ICU. Alice calms herself down and tells herself she knows she placed the pillbox in the drawer. The parents wait anxiously until they're called to see Theo. The next day, Simon tells Alice she needs to seek help and will set up an appointment for her. Alice apologizes for getting his mother autopsied, but Simon doesn't accept it and leaves, saying he should have had her committed again. Oh, honey, the tea is spilled. Alice was committed before? Please tell us more. As Alice cleans Theo's room, she watches as Celine gets into her car and leaves. Alice sneaks into Celine's basement, but the medicine cabinet is locked. She hears Celine return to the house and Celine notices the basement door open. Celine inspects the basement where Alice is hiding. She notices that the light string is swaying, then soon leaves. Alice leaves the basement cautiously, but Celine catches her and asks what she's doing at her house. Alice tries spinning up a lie but ends up asking where Jean's heart pills are. She rambles about her suspicions about Celine and accuses her of killing Jean. Celine looks at her in disbelief, saying she lost her only son and is now being accused. Celine snatches her house keys from Alice and kicks her out of the house. Alice picks Theo up from school and asks if he wants to go on vacation, but Theo is nonchalant. When they arrive home, Theo runs up to the porch to find presents from Celine. Alice quickly takes it away and throws it at Celine's house. Alice doesn't find Theo inside the house and frantically looks for him. Alice bursts into Celine's home and hears noises upstairs. Alice and Celine find Theo standing on the balcony's fence, claiming he wants to join Max and Jean. Alice and Celine plead with Theo to get down, apologizing for fighting. When Theo almost falls, the women quickly get a hold of him. Alice hugs Theo and Celine tightly, and Alice apologizes to Theo. Later at night, Alice accepts Simon's idea to get help, and Simon tells her he's found a place for them to stay to benefit her and Theo. Alice formally apologizes to Celine, revealing she's taking medicine and seeing a doctor. Celine apologizes for blaming her for Max's death in return. Alice informs her that they'll be moving soon to do what's best for Theo. The women hug each other, saddened by the circumstances their friendship has gotten into. When Damien arrives home, Celine serves him a glass of alcohol. She continues to pour him more drinks as they talk about their day. Celine tells him that Alice's family is moving, and Damien says it's because she's been clinging to Theo. When Celine tries to explain herself, Damien comments that she forgot about his son so quickly. Celine corrects him, but Damien tells her that he wants her to leave Alice's family alone and doesn't want to see Theo in their house. As Damien is asleep, Celine holds a bottle of chloroform beside him. She smothers Damien with it and sets it up like he took his own life. In the morning, Alice and Simon hear sirens nearby. The cop tells them that Damien ended himself, and Alice invites Celine to stay with them. Holy hot heck, mama. This wasn't quite the twist I was expecting. Simon comes home from work and prepares himself a drink. When Theo goes to bed, Alice tells Simon she's going to get Celine's things since she's been cooped up in the room. Theo enters Celine's room to say goodnight, and Celine looks a bit crazy in the head. Celine walks Theo back to his room and shows him a bottle of chloroform, saying it's a magic potion to help him sleep. She encourages Theo to try it out, and Theo takes a whiff of her handkerchief. As Alice retrieves clothes from Celine's closet, she finds the key to the medicine cabinet. She rushes to the basement and opens it, finding bottles of chloroform. Alice rushes back to her house, but Simon is passed out. She grabs a weapon and slowly makes her way upstairs. Celine gets behind her with a handkerchief, but Alice struggles free and smacks Celine, causing her to roll down the stairs. Alice tries to resist the chloroform and get to her son, while Celine gets back on her feet. Celine watches as Alice holds Theo, sitting down beside them. She puts Alice to sleep and places her next to Simon on the couch. Celine cleans up evidence of the crime and releases the gas tube. She covers the door to Theo's room and stays with him as Alice and Simon sleep forever in the living room. Celine and Theo show up to court, where the lawyer asks Theo if he wants Celine to be his adoptive mother. Theo agrees, and Celine legally adopts him as both of his parents have passed. Celine and Theo go on a trip to the beach, and Celine assures him they have each other to fill the holes in their hearts. Damn, I'm almost speechless. I didn't see that trifling hoe capable of being that evil. You literally have to follow a mother's instinct, because Alice knew from the jump Celine was a trifling beach. She clocked her from a mile away. I'm gooped and gagged still. What did y'all think?
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.